Hey guys, Anthony with the Rag Company, and in today's video, we're going to show you how to ceramic coat your brand new wheels. Let's jump into it. In today's video, we're going to be showing you how to ceramic coat your wheels with Armor Detail Supply's wheel coating. We're going to talk about the application, the benefits, the hydrophobic properties, and why everybody, and I mean everybody, needs to coat their wheels. We are at my own home with my own brand new set of Koenig wheels that I've been dying to ceramic coat. So today we're going to be going through the step-by-step process on how to ceramic coat your brand new wheels. You worked hard for those wheels and you want to keep them protected, and I totally get it. So ceramic coating is a great option to keep them cleaner for longer, keep the finish protected, and just make it a heck of a lot easier to clean. So first and foremost, there's going to be a difference between coating brand new wheels versus coating old wheels, specifically once the tires are mounted versus being unmounted. So we're going to talk about that here in just a minute, but for the wheel coating of today's choice, we're going to be using Armor Detail Supply's wheel coating along with their prep spray. Let's jump into it. First and foremost, why should you ceramic coat your wheels? So ceramic coating your wheels are going to make them a heck of a lot easier to clean because you're going to have that same effect on your wheels that you would your paintwork when you have all that delicious, amazing water behavior. But on top of that, it's going to add some extreme chemical resistance to the finish as well. So what ends up happening is if you ever have any type of brake fluid leak, or maybe there's road tar or road paint or anything nasty that collects onto the wheel's surface, a ceramic coating is going to be that barrier to protect it from really sticking. So it's going to make that kind of stuff easier to remove. So on top of having that chemical resistance and being easier to clean, I also find that less brake dust is going to stick to the surface. And this is just something that's going to probably depend on what kind of pad you're running, but in my experience with all my different wheels and all my different cars, all of them are ceramic coated and none of that brake dust really sticks and really embeds into all the nooks and crannies. So ceramic coating your wheels is definitely going to be a must. So what is going to be the difference between ceramic coating old wheels versus new wheels? Now, when it comes to a new set of wheels, we're all excited to unbox the wheels, open them up, and be like, yes, I have to coat them now before the tires are on because they're in their purest form. Well, that's the idea, but it's not the right idea because this is what's going to happen. You're going to ceramic coat those wheels, and then after you take those wheels to the tire shop and they go to put your wheel weights on, they're not going to stick and they're going to fly off. Or even if they do stick, they're going to stick temporarily. You're going to drive off, the wheel weights are going to fly off, your wheels are going to be unbalanced, and you're going to get a lot of vibrations. You don't want that. So what you need to do is you need to tell the tire shop, hey, these wheels are brand new, please take care of them. You know, in the words of Matt Mormon, you might want to even palm them a hundo just to take extra care of them. But once they go ahead and mount your tires and make sure that everything's clean with no damage, that's the time to ceramic coat them before you put them on the car. So keeping them off the car is actually going to be easier because once you put them on the car, it's going to be a pain to get to those barrels. So take them home, go through this exact process that I'm about to show you, and then mount them onto the car like we'll show you here in a little bit as well. So we need gloves, we need some ripping rags, and let's get to coating. So this process is going to work for any manufacturer's wheel coating, but today we're obviously using Armor Detail Supply's wheel coating. So the process for this is going to start with the paint prep step. And so every coating manufacturer is going to have their own dedicated paint prep unless otherwise specified. And so you always want to use their paint prep because that's where all the testing is going to be based off of. The longevity, the temperature rating, the chemical resistance, the hydrophobic properties, all that actually is going to start with their paint prep. So we're going to use the Armor Detail Supply panel prep, which also happens to smell like double mint bubble gum. It's amazing. And then we're going to be using their 30 mil of their quartz high temp wheel coating. So here in the box, we're going to open this up. You're going to get an applicator. It's going to be dual sided. You're going to have green on one side, gray on the other. Personally, this isn't my favorite applicator to use. So instead of this one, I'm going to be using an orange pearl. That's my preferred one for this job. And then next up, we're going to get 30 mils of our wheel coating here. Now, I know many of you are tempted to break the seal and smell it. Don't do that because it doesn't smell good, and don't break the seal because once it's exposed to oxygen, you really need to use this immediately. Otherwise, it's going to start hardening up and it's going to start crystallizing, and you don't want that. So set this aside. We have this, this, and this, and wait, what do I need? Oh yeah. Rip and Rag XL, babies. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so we have our Rip and Rag in hand, and we have our Armor Detail Supply panel prep. So again, back to what I was saying before, we do have the tires mounted. and balanced, so we're gonna have our wheel weights on there. So this is gonna be the important part, right? Because if this is coated and they go to put this on here, it may not stick, they may fly off, and you're gonna have like this whole mystery of why your wheels feel unbalanced, and you're just gonna go through this whole process. I went through that process before, so that's why I'm telling you guys. So wheel is clean, it's ready to go. We've kind of just dusted it off a little bit of rinseless wash, so we're gonna take our panel prep product, spray it directly into the towel. And what I'll typically do, not just have a bunch of overspray, I'll do maybe a spray on the inside of the barrel there, a spray there, and then knock out the back. So I usually finish out the barrels first. Any overspray on the face will be cleaned up in that final wipe down. So we're gonna go through, clean everything up. And you might be wondering also too, why would you panel prep a brand new wheel, right? Is that going to be an issue with anything sticking? Well, let's just say if there's any residual oils from the mold or the releasing agents, or maybe just even going through the process of getting the tires mounted, let's just say there's a little bit of grease that spilled behind or whatever it may have been, then you just want to make sure you're removing all of that. So I'm going to clean the back side of the face, the barrel, get that outer lip there, and that is prepped and ready to go. So from there, I'll take my Rip and Rag, I'm going to flip it the other way, and then we're going to knock out the face. All right, so for the face here, I actually do like to just mist the face and do a couple sprays into my towel, and then from there, I can see where I've gone and where I need to go and start cleaning that up. And I am also a big fan of snapping in the center caps. So some people will leave the center caps out. I snap them in because I want to coat the center caps as well. So that's part of my process. So going through, cleaning this up. And then you really want to make sure to get around all the nooks and crannies. And then specifically, every wheel will have these divots, right? Where you're going to have your spoke meeting your outer portion. This is where a lot of that brake dust and this is where a lot of that grime is going to build up. So really get in there into those little nooks and clean those out to make sure you're going to have good adhesion. All right, so with the faces done, I'll usually get in there as well and knock out the little lug holes and clean that up as well. And then any overspray, again, take my towel, go around the back, and then do one more wipe in the barrel because I did have some residual overspray fall into the back. Now you can do these with the wheels face down, face up. It's just if you go with face down, then you want to make sure that you have some type of towel or microfiber laid down first. And you also want to make sure you're not like grinding things around because you don't want to F up your brand new wheels. We're going to coat the barrels first, and we're going to grab another Rip and Rag. Now you don't need a lot of towels for this process, but you can see I did pick up some dirt here. Just some random, dust, dirt, that could have been from the tire. I can use this again for my next prep step, but it's nice to have the Rip and Rags because realistically, you go through maybe 4 towels in this whole process between prepping and coating, you're good to go. And you're gonna have almost a perfect job because you're using a premium Pearl Weave towel. So coating, let's do it. It's time to break the wheel seal. ASMR crack. Man, that was like super anticlimactic. I really thought there was gonna be more of a crack, something like that. So anyways, we have our wheel coating here. We're gonna take our Pearl applicator. So when I was saying about applicators earlier, the Armor applicator is fine. You can totally use it. Preferably though, I like something that has a little bit more pliability. So I like being able to kind of bend and manipulate the sponge to be able to get in certain nooks and crannies. So I really like that we have these Pearl applicators here that don't have the no-soak barrier. So the no-soak barrier is really nice, but it makes it slightly less pliable. So it's really gonna be personal preference. The Gtechniq applicators that come with theirs are also kind of maybe a little bit too thin. So find what works best for you and then just coat the dang things. So for this, we are going to apply our coating. Now what you're gonna notice about the Armor stuff is that it's always going to be thicker than most other coatings on the market, at least in my experience. This stuff is very, very thick. And so we'll still have some working time here, but you just want to make sure you have some even coverage, and that's going to be to prime the applicator just to get it ready. So realistically, this is all I'm going to need for probably this whole one wheel, and I'm just going to continue topping it off as necessary when we get to the other 3 wheels. So we have that ready to go. We're going to go ahead and you can make a line kind of right here in the middle and just remember where you started. So I have my air valve here. I'm going to start here as my starting point and just know that when I make my ring around, that's where I'm going to end. So we're going to start here, start working our way around, get the midsection, get the outer lip there, and then just start working that in. Going up the wheel. And this stuff does apply on a little bit thicker, but Most other wheel coatings are, I mean, even this one is just really, really simple and really easy to apply. The heavier you go, it doesn't necessarily make it better, right? Less is more in most cases with ceramic coatings. Just going around the outer layer here. I'm even going to coat over the wheel weights just because, and then spread that in. And then I'm going to do one more ring around here on this outside edge. And then make sure I'm getting full coverage. And I think that's good. It's kind of like icing a cake. You know what I mean, Jimmy?
Something like that.
Something like that. Now, you can see my applicator here is damp, right? It's actually spread in quite well. I'm going to do just a couple more drops. I'm going to use these to coat the inner spokes of the wheel as well. No need to coat the hub, but just kind of get around there. It's going to make things easier to clean. If you're crazy like me and you like doing wheels off details. Cool. So by the time you pretty much make your way around the wheel, and by the time you actually coat the backside of the face there, it's going to be time for it to wipe off. So just make sure the areas you need to be touched up, you do before that time. One more ring around that outside edge. Cool. Done. So now we're going to grab a nice fresh and clean rip and rag. You know what's crazier than coating your wheels? I mean crazy. Is subscribing to the Rag Company YouTube channel. What are you doing? Get crazy with me. Let's get crazy together. Subscribe down below. It costs you nothing. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so what I was saying before, by the time I've kind of made my way around the wheel and knocked out the back of the faces here, usually it's probably a good time to start wiping it off. But give or take, I don't know, I'd probably say like 2 to 3 minutes is probably the most you want to let this one set up for. We've let it sit for longer with this specific coating, and there's never been any issues with it, but you just don't want it to be sticky, right? You want to make sure that that wipe off feels nice and smooth, not like you're trying to grind off that coating with a microfiber towel. It doesn't feel good. So taking our towel here, we're going to start where we started, and that's actually perfect. So it's got just a little bit of friction at first, but then it starts giving, and then it starts feeling really, really smooth. And we are doing this on a kind of a colder day here in the garage with plenty of wind. So if you're doing this in more of a controlled environment, you'll probably have a little bit more working time. Oh yeah, dude, and this stuff gets slicker. It gets like, this is one of those coatings where it's like, it's not instantaneous, but like after that second wipe and you go for that towel flip, it's like, oh, it's butter. It's really, really nice. And this is also a pretty forgiving color to do. So go through, knock that down. Then if we need to, we'll flip the towel. Do another couple passes. All right, so that's the barrel there. Took me, I don't know, another minute or two just to wipe everything off. Again, you kind of want to double check your work. You can take an additional clean towel to do any touch up if needed, but ideally, no matter which wheel coating you're using, or most wheel coatings, you want to be left with a nice slick surface, and you also want to be left with something that's going to have a nice universal finish. So if you're coating a wheel that does not have a glossy finish, so let's just say it's got matte or a satin finish, you want to make sure that that coating, the application is very universal, right? Because in most cases of a darker colored wheel that has a matte or satin finish, it is going to deepen the look. It is going to darken the look. And so you want to make sure that you're getting that same look all the way around, because if you don't, you're going to be left with high spots. You're going to have a part of the wheel that's darker than the other. It's not going to look right. So just, follow the steps that we're teaching here today, and you'll be fine. You're going to be super successful in life. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's talk about what a high spot looks like when it comes to ceramic coating wheel, because again, we do not want high spots. High spots are going to look unsightly, but they're not going to necessarily negatively affect the coating's properties, right? The purpose of the coating, but it's just going to not look right. So if you have a satin finish or a matte finish wheel, this is going to be extremely noticeable, because again, when you coat a wheel, it's going to deepen and darken that look. It's not necessarily going to change the fact that it's matte or satin, but it's going to just deepen that color, right? So for example, if I'm coating this wheel and I see an area that looks darker than the other areas that maybe I haven't knocked down with the towel yet, that's going to tell me that I have too much coating on that particular spoke or that particular area. So I need to knock that down. But you can also kind of use that same kind of effect to guide your applicator process as well. So what I mean by this is if I'm coating a surface that's, let's just say, not glossy and silver like this, and let's just say it's matte and satin, I can actually see where my coating is being applied because everything's going to look deeper and darker. And it's going to continue looking deeper and darker until I actually take off my towel to knock it down and remove the leftover coating or remove the excess coating. And so utilizing that thought process, I can say, okay, maybe I've missed this area because that coating or that spot looks lighter than the rest. So I need to apply coating there. But now when it comes to removing that coating, I'm removing everything, and I go, ooh, I didn't wipe there because that particular spoke or that area looks too dark. So that's when I take my towel and go over that. Now, if I wait too long, that darker area might become permanent. And that's not a good thing, right? Because if it stays that way, then we go, oh no, how long is it going to look at that for? So in some cases, you may have a coating that's cannibalistic, meaning that I can take a little bit more of that coating, go up, put it onto the applicator, re-wipe that area, re-wet it, let it sit for a second, and then take my dry towel and knock it down, and it'll actually fix that and level that area out. So just something to keep in mind. Now in terms of what I'm looking for that flash off, on this particular wheel, it's glossy, but it's also kind of like a silver titanium color. What I'm looking for is I'm looking into the gloss and I'm seeing that line, those lines of which I've applied the coating, right? Just that liquid. I'm seeing that, and once I start seeing those lines begin to separate and start to kind of evaporate, that's when I know that it's time to wipe off that coating. If it's too wet looking, or let's just say I've just applied it and it really looks like it's on there thick, I can give it a little bit of time before knocking it down. But you'll know it's too late when removing the coating when that towel just comes to a halt, doesn't move, and becomes really sticky, and then the surface just feels very rough and not correct. That's when it's too late, and that's when you may need to polish off that coating if you've taken too long to do it. But in most cases, we don't see that a lot unless you stop what you're doing, go get McDonald's, go drop off your laundry, maybe go say hi to a distant family member that you haven't talked to in a long time, have a long conversation with them, then go, oh shoot, I was coating wheels at home, and then come back and do that. You with me? All right, so now we're ready for the wheel faces. Now this is the part where I can see a lot of people getting kind of stressed, right? Because they go, oh man, this is what everybody's gonna see. I don't wanna screw this up. Anthony, how do I not screw this up? Again, follow my successful tips on being successful in life and you will never screw up. This is going to be a positive thing all the way around. So get the same applicator that we just used on the barrel, right? Make sure it's not dirty, make sure you don't have any grit on it or anything like that. Take more of our wheel coating and we're going to go ahead and top this off just a little bit more. Now, I personally like to start in the middle of the wheel and work my way out. And I'll usually find a spoke and kind of start there. So I'll knock out the center cap, work around the middle here, and then find my starting point. So in today's case, we'll actually start here back where this valve stem is and make our way around kind of like a clock or counterclockwise. So starting here in the middle, I'm going to do a nice little kind of couple turns, knock out that outer section there, make sure we have the coating in there, get into the little nooks and crannies here. This wheel is like very intricate, but we're going to get into the intricate nooks and crannies. We're also going to kind of get into the lug holes, at least just enough where that recess is, and make sure that we have good equal coverage there. And once we've done that, we're going to bring it down to one of the spokes. So right here, we're going to start here. We're going to knock out the inside, get around the valve stem. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you have to take a little bit more coating and go on the edge of your applicator, you can do that as well. But you want to get under there because that's where you're going to have a lot of dirt accumulation and it's going to be a pain in the butt to clean. So get in there, get into the nooks and crannies, get around this spoke, and then we're going to start knocking out the face, then going around. Again, grab your finger, make like a little, pressure point area and then push in there and get in there because the faces, right, all the outlet spokes are going to be easy to clean. It's that little divot. That's going to be the pain. That's where all that brake dust is going to accumulate and that's why your wheels are going to look crappy. So we don't want it to look that way. We want to get in there, make sure we're getting good even coverage and keep making our way around. And once you get good at this will actually start going really, really quick. So this is kind of real-time speed actually will look like once you start applying. Face of the wheel, again, nook and cranny, go through, get that flow formed logo there. And you'll notice I haven't hit that outer edge and I'm saving that for last because that's going to be kind of my finishing technique with any other touch-up I need to do. So again, nook and cranny, make around that outside edge. in there, and just like that. So do any touch-up as needed, and then we're going to take a little more coating right there on that tip. Okay, see, just like that. And we're going to start, we'll actually start right here again, and we're going to make our ring around and get into that recessed area. Just like that. Cool. Then we're going to give it just another 30 seconds or so. I'll do a little bit of touch-up as needed, and then we're going to do our wipe off. Grabbing our pearl towel, again, start in the middle. We're going to knock out that center cap. Oh gosh, that looks so much better. Just a little bit of coating over a center cap is going to darken that. It's going to make that look even newer than brand new. Yes, these are new wheels, but it's going to make it look even better. So we're going to get in there. So one trick too, if you have really intricate lug nut recesses here, you can also take a part of a ripping rag, actually cut a little bit off with some scissors and use that piece to get in there and kind of get a little bit of a deeper reach into some of those areas. But personal preference, it's all up to you. But we're going to start getting this into here and start making our way around the face and in the same exact pattern that we went in last time. So again, I'm getting a little bit of that friction, just a little bit of that bite at first, and then it's really knocking down that surface tension and now making it really, really slick. And that feels just super, super good. Taking a towel, we're gonna go around that outer ring there. This is kind of a weird recess, so you can kind of take the towel, bunch it up a little bit, and then try to get in there a little bit easier. But that is kind of a different kind of recess there. Oh my gosh, that looks so good. Dude, I really do feel like that already kind of just added a little bit more pop there on the gloss. Normally I like matte and satin finish wheels, but like this is, yeah, that gloss factor is just, We have officially finished with our first wheel, and we only have to repeat this process like 3 more times. Now, one pro tip here, if you're only using one applicator, you're going to either want to switch sides, or you're going to want to use the other end of the applicator, or just buy more applicators. And the reason for that is that this coating, the specific one, and most other wheel coatings will begin to harden up, and you don't want to be taking a crusty applicator and applying that to your wheel. It's just going to mar it. It's not going to look good. Just don't do that. So, pro tip there. From here, we're going to coat the other 3 wheels in the same exact process, and then we're going to talk about how long you should wait until you get on the road to start driving on them. So let's get it done. Okay, so we just finished up with the 4th wheel, and the big question is, can we install these wheels immediately? And the short answer is yes, but you have to do so delicately. Because the coating is still setting up and still curing, we don't want to put our hands all over the wheel or all over the painted parts. So as long as we're grabbing by the tire itself and mounting it that way, we're totally fine. Also, you might end up with a pile of towels after you are done. Make sure to separate which towels were for the paint prep step from the ceramic coating step. For the paint prep towels, wash these with your other microfiber towels as you normally would. For the towels that you use with the ceramic coating, either throw these away, demote them, or wash them on their own and use them for a separate task that isn't for paint down the road, because that coating will begin to harden and will begin to cure in these towels, not making them paint safe in the future. So something to keep in mind. So let's see what these things look like on the car. Let's do it. All right guys, so we just finished installing the wheels, and these things look pretty amazing. So thanks to Jimmy and Carson for helping out with the install. The biggest tip there I can give you guys is going to be to grab by the tires and install them that way, so that way you're not putting your hands over the freshly coated surfaces. Now at this point in time, you're going to want to give it probably a few days before these wheels get wet. Do not wash the car, do not drive it through rain if you don't have to. Yes, you can, but ideally you want to get this coating to really cure and set up. But after it's set up and cured, you're going to have amazing hydrophobic behavior. You're going to have some chemical resistance in case of any type of brake fluid leaks, or maybe tar, or maybe any type of road paint, things like that. And it's also going to make them easier to clean with attracting less brake dust in total. So as always, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys learned something new, and maybe coating your wheels properly will lead to a more successful life. Who knows? As always, make sure to give us a big thumbs up, hit that like button, subscribe down below for more, and stay tuned for more videos right here at The Racking Room.